United Teachers Los Angeles, UTLA, was formed in 1970 from more than a dozen different organizations representing teachers and support service personnel throughout the massive Los Angeles Unified School District, the LAUSD. A merger of the two major rival groups, American Federation of Teachers Local Number 1021 and the Association of Classroom Teachers of Los Angeles, in that year succeeded in bringing all non-administrative certificated personnel under the one banner of UTLA and its affiliates, the California Teachers Association, CTA, the National Education Association, NEA, and the American Federation of Teachers, AFL-CIO. A 2-month strike in the spring of 1970 solidified the new union, but the state of California played hardball, and the courts declared the agreement null and void. In 1975, the Rhoda Act was signed into law by then-Governor Jerry Brown, which included provisions to allow strikes over contract issues, to force parties to bargain in good faith, to use mediation to break impasses, and to carry out necessary fact-finding. Then, in 1989, a strike that lasted 9 days and included 80% of the bargaining unit on the picket lines produced a historic 3-year contract, which won 3 successive yearly salary increases of 8% each, totaling 24%, along with a restructuring that implemented school site decision-making and school-based management. Also, a strike fund was approved by the members in case UTLA had to strike again in the future.
UTLA created in the early 2000s a strike fund. I know a lot about the strike fund because I am the individual who made the motion to convert UTLA's old crisis fund into the strike fund. UTLA has had, since the early 90s, a crisis fund. The crisis fund had no limits on how union leadership could use the money. I don't make any allegations that union leaders ever misused that money, but they could have if they wanted to, because there were no limits on how money could be taken out of the crisis fund. So I raised a motion in the House of Representatives that the crisis fund be converted to the strike fund, that the monies in the strike fund only be used in the event of a member-sanctioned labor action.
However, that precedent-setting agreement saw a sudden reversal when the nation plunged into recession in 1990. So, when the UTLA-LAUSD contract expired in 1991, the district attempted to lay off teachers. However, rank-and-file UTLA members organized and were able to reduce the planned layoffs by accepting a 10% pay cut. The year 1989 was synonymous with unity and struggle. Every teacher felt that UTLA had their backs. However, as the celebration faded away, many members felt abandoned. Many of them perceived that UTLA leaders were using their positions of power to move up the political ladder, at the expense of those members who put skin on the line during the 1989 strike.
That teachers now more than ever must express the interests of their students because others have failed them. We shall not.
The 1989 strike was important to many teachers. Many teachers felt empowered because of their experience on the picket line, which had taught them that organized actions were possible and very effective. However, UTLA leaders were not all thinking in terms of organizing rank-and-file members for future job actions. Instead, UTLA leaders initiated a very expensive process, which consisted in promoting so-called teacher-friendly politicians in school board elections. Obviously, this process demanded that UTLA use large amounts of dues money to finance the never-ending political careers of many school board members and other political figures. As a matter of fact, it is believed that UTLA leaders may have illegally used $400,000 from a $3 million fund authorized for strike preparation. UTLA President Alex Caputo Pearl admitted on his President Report of June 3, 2015, that $400,000 had been used in political campaigns. This, of course, is a misuse of union money because the $3 million fund approved for strike preparation was not approved to pay for any political campaign. When members of the UTLA House of Representatives questioned these actions, UTLA President Alex Caputo Pearl answered by saying that this was a loan. However, there is no record or document to indicate the existence of any such loan, the conditions under which this loan was made, or when this loan was supposed to be recovered in full by UTLA. Obviously, this just looks like the abuse of power and the misuse of funds by UTLA leaders. As UTLA leaders continue to support so-called teacher-friendly politicians, even using such questionable methods, teachers continue to suffer. Frequently, the Board of Education approves the riffing or laying off of teachers. They approve more charter schools and put more teachers in teacher jail.
Others have referred to this, but UTLA actually seems to be is taking an active role in purging our ranks of older teachers. Others have referred to tenure or permanent status in California, and that confers upon a teacher rights to due process. Now, these rights to due process, just like in court, require that you have a good defense. Every local in CTA covers their members with the group legal services, except for UTLA. So UTLA has a huge number of teachers. We were as high as 43,000, and now with drop in enrollment and attrition, we're down to 33,000 teachers. As compared to what Kristen Jones told us, 1,600 in Richmond, it's easier to pick off one teacher at one part of the city and then another part and back and forth without the rest of them knowing. But our union plays into it. They actually actively bully teachers. If you're accused of anything and you go to the union, a teacher is told, well, you can't win, you might as well resign. And the first thing they ask you is, how close are you to retirement? Well, none of that is really the business of a union. A union, as far as I'm concerned, has as its primary purpose to protect teachers or protect its workers. Now, teachers are not stupid. We might be shy in retiring sometimes, but we all are educated. A great way to get to make more money available for charters and privatization is to get rid of the expensive employees. And that means people who've been working 20, 30 years.
Between 2009 and 2015, more than 13,000 teachers and UTLA members were forced out of their jobs, while UTLA leaders did almost nothing to stop it. Also, in recent years, more charter schools have been approved by the LAUSD Board of Education, while UTLA leaders continue to travel around the country, attending so-called labor conferences and speaking at rallies that have little or nothing to do with the issues Los Angeles teachers face in this time of educational crisis.
Do we want it? When do we want it?
As a matter of fact, in a 5-month period from December 2015 to May 2016, UTLA leaders spent close to $28,000 on trips alone without ever reporting to our members the nature of these trips or in what way these trips benefited our member. In 2008, the Professional Rights and Responsibility Committee of UTLA drafted and passed a motion whereby officers had to disclose to the membership a list of all union-paid or reimbursed travel by officers and directors outside Los Angeles County. Also, officers and directors were supposed to disclose the amounts paid or reimbursed and a specific justification as to how each trip relates to improving the wages, hours, and working conditions of UTLA-represented LAUSD employees or retirees. According to this 2008 motion, the first published reports shall contain all travel beginning on or after June 1st, 2007. Unfortunately, this mandate has been ignored for years, and only recently, under pressure from members of the House, UTLA leaders disclosed in the United Teacher newspaper one single report that indicates only a few amounts, but made no reference as to why these expenses were made and in what way these trips might help the general membership. Interestingly enough, all of these officers are members of the Union Power Slate headed by Alex Caputo Pearl.
Thank you, David. And good morning, and this is an amazing display of solidarity. I want to say some things about that. As David said, I come out of PEAK, Progressive Educators for Action, and United Teachers Los Angeles, where I've been on the e-board, or board of directors, for the last 3 years. And we've got an ongoing significant electoral success as well as some losses in UTLA.
While our union leaders continue to travel around the country, attending conferences and enjoying our union dues money, charter schools continue to grow. Currently, there are 274 charter schools under the jurisdiction of the LA Unified School District, serving more than 138,000 students in kindergarten through 12th grade, and the number continues to grow. Also, while union leaders pretend to be fighting the Broad Plan, which consists in taking over one half of LAUSD schools by the year 2023, the reality is a different story. When teachers and parents throughout the state proposed a repeal charter initiative to stop the expansion of charter schools, union leaders such as Alex Caputo Pearl opposed this measure. He spoke against it and even slandered those supporting the motion by accusing them of doing the job for the privatizers. Although there is no video footage that can show this hypocritical behavior from someone who is constantly pretending to be fighting the charter schools in the Broad Plan, in an interview for Channel 7, Alex Caputo Pearl avoids talking about the repeal measure and refuses to give a straight answer to the Channel 7 News anchor.
Grassroots measure afoot that would get a ballot initiative next year saying that charters cherry-pick students, falsify records, commit enrollment fraud, and...
Like I said, what we're putting out there, and we're working with our charter educator members of our union on this, is this idea of public school accountability. And in fact, Mr. Broad, the billionaire, has his museum opening up on September 20th, and I'll be there, and I'll have a bunch of my friends there, and I'd like to actually debate him publicly.
However, as time goes by, more rank-and-file members of UTLA are beginning to question whether UTLA leaders are actually fighting the charter movement or if they are just becoming part of it. Just recently, it was discovered that two close allies of UTLA President Alex Caputo Pearl, that is former UTLA President John Perez and staffer Michael Bennett, are both sitting members of the Montague Charter Academy board. It is also well known that former UTLA president and close ally of the current UTLA leadership, A.J. Duffy, left UTLA to become CEO of the charter school. And it is rumored that Duffy was hoping to head the LAUSD charter school division.
Or Duffy, as his friends call him. This is a man who has had an about face, a change of heart. This is a man who I have talked to for years about how against charter schools you were and now how much in favor of them you are.
Well, in favor of Apple Academy Charter School, the school that I will be the executive director of.
It is not easy to believe that there may be a special relationship between the current UTLA leaders and the charter school movement, largely dominated by billionaires such as Eli Broad, Bill Gates, and others. On the one hand, our leaders pretend to be fighting the privatizers, while on the other hand, they mingle with those same individuals whose policies they pretend to oppose. For example, in 2010, the American Federation of Teachers, AFT, one of the two labor organizations UTLA is affiliated with, had number one charter school proponent Bill Gates as their keynote speaker.
Thank you, Randy, for inviting me to speak. I also want to thank you and the EFT members for supporting historic reforms in public education.
Also, we must take into consideration that Alex Caputo Pearl and many of the staffers that he has hired at UTLA have come from Teach for America, which provides temporary teachers for the nation's schools.
The way that we knew how to cope with it was just to go out and party and drink. And TFA has such a big party reputation because, of course, many of these people that are high achievers, they tend to be partiers at the same time. So it was just an overall very unhealthy experience, and not everyone went out drinking. I'm not saying that every person is out there like drinking trying to cope with their depression, but I'm saying the general trend seemed to be that. And I finally left because I wasn't unwilling to continue doing that. I don't even like drinking, and I drank more while I was in TFA for 7 or 8 months than I did. I felt like I did more drinking in those months than I did my entire college career.
Can UTLA stop the continued advance of the charter movement and the privatizing of public education? This is a question that has no simple answer. There are teachers and activists who feel that there is still a chance to stop or at least contain the advance of the charter school expansion and the privatizing of public education. However, activists face attacks that go from verbal mockery, ridiculing of their ideas, to more serious actions, such as being banned from attending meetings or even banned from entering the UTLA building. Such is the case of former teacher and activist Neil Chertoff, who has been banned from the UTLA building based on the flimsiest of reasons. Why would Mr. Chertoff be attacked? In 2014, Mr. Chertoff made public that the UTLA leaders may have used union funds intended for strike preparation to finance the LAUSD school board election in violation of the law. According to Mr. Chertoff, member dues money could not be used to finance school board races. However, he only realized that this money was being used improperly when UTLA President Alex Caputo Pearl, during one of his president's reports, indicated that $400,000 were withdrawn from the strike preparation money and used for school board elections. However, according to Mr. Chertoff, this may be one of only many inappropriate activities that have probably been done in the past and may be happening now. But members are kept in the dark about what is going on behind the closed doors of this so-called labor union.
And now it's been coming out that the union that claims to oppose charters is actually under the table supporting charters, certain charters, not all of them, but certain charters where they have alliances with the charter owners, and even some of the couple of staff members of UTLA are collecting union dues and sitting on charter boards and collecting money, enriching themselves. This is a betrayal of the dues payers. In the union, it's a betrayal of the parents and the community, and it's a betrayal of the need to provide the students with a quality education.
For example, just this year, UTLA leaders pushed hard to increase members' dues, arguing that UTLA was running in the red.
So, these are the certified tabulation results for UTLA's 2016 Build the Future, Fund the Fight campaign.
However, what members did not know was that the dues increase, highly publicized by UTLA leaders, was never intended to help its members. Instead, it would increase the union bureaucracy by adding 6 new, highly paid positions to its payroll. For example, according to the flyer distributed by the Committee to Expose Union Power Abuse, 6 new highly paid individuals were hired, and their salaries ranged from $90,000 to $175,000 for a total of over $1 million. Was this the crisis UTLA leaders were speaking of when they pushed for the dues increase? These newly hired bureaucrats have come from outside and have not been promoted from within the rank and file of UTLA. Therefore, we don't know if they have any familiarity with the problems that Los Angeles teachers face.
For our members, of them believing that UTLA can be a vehicle to fight for educator rights, but also for great schools and educational justice.
Similar to Mr. Chatkoff's situation, we have the story of the retired teacher and activist Michael Dominguez. Mr. Dominguez was asked to leave the union building for raising questions about teachers held in teacher jail. Many senior teachers have been falsely accused and put in what is known as teacher jail while they await the LAUSD's final resolution. Guilty or not, most end up being fired from their jobs based on these false allegations, while UTLA leaders say it is not their business. For expressing his concerns, Mr. Dominguez was asked to leave the building or else he would be removed by the police. The UTLA leadership actually did call the police on that occasion. As a matter of fact, UTLA leaders have a history of calling police on its own members. In 2009, a group of substitutes were protesting a secret agreement between A.J. Duffy and the LAUSD that took away the seniority of hundreds of substitute teachers. A.J. Duffy ordered protesters to be removed from the UTLA building by the LAPD. As you may well understand, the charter school movement will continue to expand, and as a result, public schools in Los Angeles will continue to suffer due to falling enrollment and the resulting decrease in income. This inevitably will lead to the layoff of more teachers unless future union leaders and the rank and file take action to stop it.
I'm Kathleen Carroll from Sacramento. I'm part of a statewide coalition called Voices Against Privatizing Public Education, and we are trying to take back our public schools from the profiteers. We are putting a ballot initiative to eliminate all charter schools in the state, to repeal the California Charter School Act of 1992.
If you hear that your school is being targeted by a charter operator for Proposition 39 takeover, don't wait. Take the lead and organize your site before your school is taken over and your jobs are eliminated.
Well, there's a sign on the gate that says they're going to bring 1,200 to 1,600 kids up there, and that's just too many kids to go up there.
For our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
What will happen to the neighborhood if that happens?
The traffic, there's going to be all the traffic up there. When Adams was there, it was a lot smaller school, and I wanted Adams to stay. I never wanted Adams to close, and it was a lot smaller school, but we had the summers off, and the charter, Caliber wants to run almost 12 months,
all year round. And we don't need all that traffic up there. We have small streets up there. It's a small neighborhood. The people who have lived up there have lived there for many years. They don't know anything about what's going on right now. And charter schools, there's a charter school on every corner. We don't need a charter school up there.
Hold your union officials accountable. Do not just elect them and forget about it. Make sure that they represent your issues. Other teachers in other parts of the country are already doing this.
Jenny, and I'm here to support the public school system. I feel like the charter school system preys upon parents of low-income students to try to pull them into a system that's not in their benefit.
Many of them are taking direct action and are participating more in their union's affairs.
And I am against charter schools because they are a bunch of thieves. This business for them is just profit.
There's a lot of money involved And all these people like the Broad Foundation and the Walton Foundation, all the other foundations that are after school money, they don't do it because they want to educate our children. They do it because they know there is a lot of money involved. And the sad part of it is that they claim that they want to do it because they want to help our communities. But it's funny because if you want to help our communities, why don't you donate that money to build our schools, to make it better, so that the schools can provide programs? But no, they don't want to do that.
Get involved, organize, and defend public education. Keep in mind that we are not just fighting the outside enemies such as Broad, Gates, the Walton family, etc. There is an enemy within that is more dangerous than those our union leaders tell us to fear. Many teachers argue that charter schools are here to stay, and they may be right. The question is this: how long will it take before these charter schools take your job away? It is only a matter of time unless we organize and mobilize.
In key states, you bolstered the state's applications for additional federal money coming from the Race to the Top program. Another union is doing what you are. Ho, ho!